Right.
I think in your book, you said, I know in your book you said, I haven't got the words right, but you said no job should last more than 5 years. I think there's a 5-year cycle in any sort of job, or words to that effect. You stayed at Leeds for 8 years. Now, the first 5 years were fantastic. The last 3 years weren't so good. Do you think you perhaps should have left after 5 years, if you like?
I don't think the last three years. I think comparatively they perhaps weren't so good, but in retrospect, I would not ever stay at a club longer than 5 years again, taking on the width of responsibility and the depth of responsibility I took on at Leeds. No. I should have at Leeds either done as was suggested by Bill Fotherby, have a year or 18 months stepping sideways and back at the 5-year point, or have taken the job that was offered to me at what in many respects might have been considered a better club, if you can ever say that.
What was that? What club was that?
That was Arsenal, and that was, you know, I think just before Bruce took the job.
I've got two memories of you, Howard, really, that stick in my mind. One is when Leeds United won that First Division title on that Sunday afternoon. And the other image I have of you years later is when you were there at the table with the chairman and the management, the executive, at your own press conference announcing your dismissal. I just don't know what to say to me about you. First, when you won the Premiership, when you won the
when we won the Premiership, we were at the Championship. Yeah. We were at home having lunch. It was Sunday afternoon. Yeah. We were at home having lunch, and I couldn't do anything about Manchester United's result. We'd got a result at Sheffield United. We'd arranged to have this lunch, and it seemed to me pointless sitting there in front of the television dealing with something over which I had no control. Alex Ferguson, a year later, did the same. He went out and played golf. Yeah. And someone told him. That's not to underplay the emotions that you feel at the time once you know that it's happened, because it's something you've wanted to achieve all your life.
Yeah. You're not the guy really that's prone to give out your emotions in public, are you? Let's face it.
No. Public displays of emotion would not be my trademark. By the same token, the press conference after I'd been sacked, again, I felt it was important that I was there, said my piece, and then get on with it, because very often in these situations, afterwards there are stories dribbling out, and I just turned up and said, look, you know, ask me all the questions you want to ask me, and then I can get on with the rest of my life. We can close this book there and start the next book.
A civilised and dignified occurrence. I suppose your stomach must have been churning in exactly the same way as it was churning at that Sunday lunchtime 5 years previous.
Different emotion. The Sunday lunchtime previously was one of just total and utter joy at achieving something that ever since I decided I wanted to be a manager, I'd decided the two things I wanted to do. And the other one was the emotion of leaving a lot of people with whom I'd developed relationships, and leaving a particular job unfinished that I knew was nearly finished. It was finished all but about 12 months, and it was something that I don't think anyone anywhere else really had ever achieved, apart from maybe Alex at Manchester United, which was to go in somewhere with a plan, say what your plan was, say that it was for 10 years, and be there when the plan sort of, as it were, was near fruition.
Yeah, so we're coming towards a break now, but to be sacked by a football team, well, you expect it, because that's part of the business you are in, for goodness sake. Okay, it's never really, it doesn't really happen, but you are sacked because you are perceived as a failure. And yes, your career with Leeds, you won the Second Division Championship, you won the First Division Championship, the last time before the Premier League. I mean, you got them out of the mire, which they were well and truly in. But then, does it cause you still wish that, oh, well, Howard Wilson, he was sacked by Leeds? You know, that's what they think.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, the people throw comments about in terms of the club's now being re-established and so on and so forth. I mean, as you say, we won the old second division championship. We won the first division championship.
But it's not a legacy. It's not an epitaph.
No, we qualified for Europe.
Yeah.
I think we were high enough to qualify for Europe. I think it was 2 5s and a 4.
But Howard Wilkinson, he was
Charity
sacked
Shield.
by Leeds. That's a horrid. I'm saying to you, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but if it was me, I'd say it's a horrid epitaph.
No, I think in management it's not an epitaph. It's the end of a chapter.
Okay, end of a chapter, end of part 1. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And welcome back talking to Howard Wilkinson. Howard Wilkinson, during your Leeds years, one of your most spectacular achievements was to spot Eric Cantona. Okay, you then won the league title, the first division title. You then sold Cantona. Can you tell us now, 3 or 4 years later, why you sold Cantona?
There was no alternative. The situation was that there was no alternative. We'd won the championship the year before. People, or history says that Eric won the championship for Leeds. What the facts say is that he played 6 games that season. I think we won 1, 2, drew 3, lost 1, or whatever. Prior to playing Man City away, where we got beat 4-1, we'd lost, I think, out of the 6 before that, 3 and drawn 2.
So you say no alternative, but I mean,
well,
why?
The second season, the season that then followed, we didn't have a good season. We weren't playing well. My view with Eric was that, and still is, that he is a good player in a good team. His record shows that. I think he's had now something like 13 or 14 clubs, and the only club where he's really succeeded was at Manchester United, which was a terrific vehicle for him.
But that was it, you see, to sell. I mean, it wasn't to sell him at all was stopped everyone in the street, the gas. But to sell him to Leeds' arch rival, Manchester United, I mean, that was the worst possible thing you could do in the eyes of the Leeds fans.
There was no alternative. The circumstances, the situation, the reality was that Eric was in France because I'd left him out, so he'd gone back to France. So history was repeating itself. All his previous clubs, he'd done the same. The club we bought him from had incurred considerable financial loss in a similar situation. He said he wasn't coming back to play for us. He said he wanted to go on the transfer list, and by pure freak, Manchester United came in with an offer out of the blue, which was just precipitated by a phone call from us to try and buy Dennis Irwin.
You didn't make much money. I think you got him for about 900,000, and you sold him for about 1.3. So in football terms, not a big money profit operation, was it? So
No.
was it more of a personal thing? Was he a member of the Auckland squad or what?
No, it wasn't personal at all. In terms of making money, the situation was that if we had not got some money at that time, history said that we'd lose everything. We'd lose the million we'd paid for him because he'd sit on his backside in France until such times as the situation was resolved by us saying, well, look, we can't go on paying his wages. We'll do what everyone else has done, which is basically let someone else have him and see if they can deal with any problems they may have.
Do you think, you know that incident when he kicked all that crowd thing and kick at the crowd? Someone was saying to me, yes, if he did that when he was at Leeds, they'd have all blamed Leeds. This is just typical of Leeds, dirty play, they've always been the same. Somehow he seemed to get away with it at Manchester, or Manchester United got away with it. It was him, not Manchester. Did you feel that?
Well, when I came to Leeds, we had a shocking reputation. It was the worst reputation in the country. Thankfully, over the next 5 or 6 years, we managed to turn that reputation round and make Leeds and the Leeds crowd as acceptable as any crowd in the country. But undoubtedly, reputation plays its part in the decisions people make.
When he did that kung fu kick into the crowd, did you think, well, I've always known all along he's like that? Is there something in him that you spotted that you thought this guy might be trouble?
Well, I didn't spot it. I don't think Alex spotted it in that sense. I mean, everyone can see it, and history shows it that if up to now, when Eric's been faced with a situation which he can't deal with, as it were, in a football sense, whether that's being dropped, whether that's playing in a losing team, whether that's accepting the referee's decision, there has been a switch go somewhere, and you know, the behaviour thereafter has been fairly unpredictable.
The